Hi lovely people, welcome back to my tutorial for today. And I say a very happy new year to all of you. I thank God for giving us the ability and the opportunity to see this new year. And for those of us that are yet to be back in our various homes, I pray that the good Lord will grant us all safe trip. So thank you for stopping by. And please, if this is your first time, kindly help us by hitting on that red icon to subscribe. And also touch the notification bell to enable you be the first to be notified whenever I upload a new video. So in our today's class, we shall be looking at how to draft our corset pattern. I've had so many requests to make this video. So I said this will be the first video that I'll be doing this new year. Okay, all right. So here I have my basic line out. Okay, so this is our shoulder line, and this is our chest line, our bust point line, our under bust, and our waist line. Okay, so for the course of this tutorial, I'll be making use of these four lines. Okay, we don't need this, but I just draw it so that it will be clear enough. All right, so the first thing to do is to impute our bust span line. The bust span I'm using for this dress is 8 inches. So when I divide by 2, it will give us 4 inches. For those of us that don't know what bust span is, it's the difference between our two nipples. Okay, so you check yours and know what it is, then divide it by 2. So 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So from here, I will mark my 4 inches. Okay, all right. So here I will mark 4 inches. I'll mark 4 inches to the bust point. I'll also mark it at the under bust, and of course at the waist line. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect those with a straight line. Okay, so the next thing to do is to impute our darts. Okay, so for our waistline, I will mark 1 inch at the both side. Okay, I'll mark 1 inch at this side and 1 inch at this side, and I'll do the same thing to our under bust. I'll mark 1 inch here, and I'll also mark 1 inch here. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and connect it with a straight line. Okay, so for here I will just connect it to this point. Okay, so I'll use my French curve to connect this line to this bust point line. Okay, or you can just use your free hand to do so. Okay, okay, so after marking this, the next thing we will do is to get the difference between those two lines. So what we have here is 3 inches. So what I will do now is to take those 3 inches round this side. Okay, so I'll just mark my 3 inches, making sure that my 3 inches are at the bust point. Okay, then I'll mark 3 inches round. I'm just doing this to get a circle. Okay, all right. So as you are rotating, make sure that the 3 inches is at the bust point line. Okay. Alright, so after this, I will just use a dotted line to connect it together. Okay, so I can easily go ahead now to connect it. So you can use your French curve to do so. Okay, so for this other side now, what I would do is to calculate. Okay, what I will do now is to add half an inch to what I did to this side. So I have 3 inches here, so when I add half an inch to it, it will give me 3.5. So for this other side now, I'll be marking 3.5 inches. Reason, because the breast is fuller at the inner side more than the outside part. Okay, all right, so from here I will just keep my 3.5 inches and I will mark it all round. Okay, you have to be very careful so as to get the accurate measurement. Okay, after marking this, the next thing to do is to take our neck line. Okay, so this totally depends on what you want. So for me, I'll be using 9.5. Okay, so here I will come in by half an inch, and at the bust point I'll come in by half an inch. Okay, so I will just connect it. Okay, the next thing to do again is to take our dart. Okay, so for this side I'll be taking 1 inch, and for this side I'll be taking half an inch, because of the reason that I gave earlier, that the inner part is fuller than the outside part. Okay, so here I will take half inch. So I'll just use my curve ruler to connect it to the bust point. Oh shit, sorry, I put the ruler the wrong side. Okay, I have to turn it to get this. Okay, So please just ignore this. Just ignore this. Okay. All right. So now I will just take this and extend this to the upper part. Just extend the straight line. Okay. So after connecting this, the next thing to do is to impute our bust measurement and our waist measurement. So the bust I'm working with is 41 inches divided by 4 to give us 10.25. So from here I will take my 10.25. Okay. And also mark it at my bust point. So the waist I'm working with is 36 inches into 4 to give us 9 inches. Okay, so here I will just connect this. Okay. Okay, so I'll just go ahead now and connect my armhole. Now also label this at my side, center 1, center 2. Okay, sorry, center 2. Then side 1 and side 2. So this will enable me to know after cutting it where and where I have to attach each and every one of it, so I won't be confused. Okay, all right, so I'll just go ahead now and cut this out. So you watch the way I cut it so you won't make any mistake. Okay, so for this I will just carefully cut out. Okay, so after cutting we have this. So if you watch carefully, you will notice that when I cut all this, I did not add extra allowances, both the allowance that we minus for the darts. So when you are cutting it on your fabric, you make sure that you impute all that is necessary, okay? So for instance, at the waistline, we're going to add all those 2 inches that we removed, okay? So likewise at the upper part, you're going to add the same 1.5 that you took away, okay? Then you now add the allowance for your sewing, okay? So here when you are cutting this, you cut 2 each of this, all right? Okay, so that when you put it back, you will still get what you want. Okay, for the back, I have all my lines out, my chest line, my bust point, my underpose, my waistline, and of course our shoulder line. Another good thing about the shoulder line is, for instance, if you want to make a corset with a yoke, you can now cut out, after cutting out this, you can now cut out what you want, how you want your yoke to be. So this part now will serve at your yoke, okay? All right, so the next thing to do is to impute our butt span, which is 8 divided by 2 to give us 4 inches. So here we mark our 4 inches. Okay, I'll just use a straight line to connect that. Then after that, I will impute my dart, which is 1/2 inch at both sides, okay? So here I will take 1/2 inch and here I will take 1/2 inch, and I will do the same thing at my underbust. I'll take 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch here. And the next thing I will do is to connect this. So I'm connecting this now. And I'll connect all those lines to my bust point, okay? Okay, all right, so the next thing I would do here is to take my neck line, okay? So I is to take my bust measurement. So the bust I'm working with is 41 inches divided by 4 to give us 10.25, and my waist measurement is 36 into 4 to give us 9 inches. Okay, so for the front part, I did not include the dart that we removed, okay, but I just explained how you are going to do it. Since if you did not include it in your pattern paper, make sure that you include that in your fabric, okay? So for this point here, I'll be including it so that it will be clear enough. So here we took away 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, which is 1 inch. So here I'll put back the 1 inch of the dart, okay? All right, so here you determine the neckline that you want. So here I want mine to be 11 inches. Okay, all right, so you can do your own thing depending on how deep you want it to be, okay? All right, so here you now make the neckline of your choice. If you want it to be like this or straight, anyhow you want it to be. So for mine, I will just connect it straight, okay? So just do anything that you want, any way you prefer it, okay? Any way you prefer your neckline, it's okay. Okay, so after connecting it, I have this, okay? So remember that when we are imputing all those our measurements, we do not include our zipper allowance. So when you are cutting to your fabric, make sure that you include your zipper allowance, okay? And of course, you also add the allowance for your sewing, okay? All right, so whichever way you decide to make this neck to be, either straight, either curve, okay, just make sure that you connect it to your armhole. So I will just go ahead now and cut those out. So when you're cutting, fold into two to cut out the two pits of the back. Okay, all right. The next thing, let me just connect this. Okay. Just make sure that you add up your zipper allowance. Okay, so this will be all for this tutorial. So we'll meet in my next class. Okay, all right. So this is what we have. So we just go ahead, use it, and cut your dress. So maybe in our next tutorial we'll be cutting a fabric, and I will also be showing you, and also I'll be showing you how to insert your bonnet to your dress, but that will be on our subsequent classes. Okay, all right. So thank you so much, and if you have not subscribed yet, do so, and also hit on that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. Bye.